Hello and welcome to the second edition of the Bookbreakrs pod. My name is Alan and I'm joined by the Fountains of Reason, Paul and Enda. Paul is a staunch United fan, Enda is a staunch Liverpool fan, but they're not your typical sort of, you know, blinkered fans who only love their own clubs and can see nothing else. So the lads will be giving their insights on various things related to football. Last week we covered the European Super League, if you want to have a look back at that. This week we're going to have a look at VAR and whether VAR is good for the game, bad for the game, uh, whatever. And the format of the pod basically is each week we put up some predictions on the Bookbreakrs app, which I'll touch on in a minute. We'll review last week's predictions. The lads will give their predictions for this week, and then we'll jump into the VAR discussion. So you might be asking yourself, what is Bookbreakrs? So Bookbreakrs is a football predictions app. The idea of the app is to enable people to enjoy football without losing money. So there's a lot of people out there who might be playing, fantasy games, fantasy football. You might bet on football, and if you are betting on football and you're tired of losing money every single week to the bookies, then this app might be for you. It's a community of real football fans, not tipsters. And basically, people make predictions on games. There's four markets: win market, both to score over 2.5 or under 2.5 goals, and double chance. That's it. Four markets. You predict with points, and you earn points if you're right. It's a bit like fantasy betting. So we use bookmaker odds. It's free to play, so you don't have to deposit money or anything like that. It's free to play. Through the competitions, then we identify who the top players are, and if you bet, you can follow the top guys. By following them, you'll get a notification when they make their top predictions. So we'll touch on that as we go through. And Paul and Enda, you guys are using the app as well. Paul won the inaugural NAP competition in the app, so the guys are using it. Chime in if you have thoughts or ideas about it as well. Okay, so let's kick off. We'll jump in and we'll review last week's predictions. It was a shocker. I just want to reiterate that we are not tipsters. We are just average Joes who are making predictions. The three of us are in a private league. So yeah, we're just having a bit of crack with it. Paul is currently top by a whisker.
The slenderest of leads.
Yeah, I was top earlier in the week and I started shooting my mouth off and I quickly fell back. So let's kick off then. So Paul, do you want to go through your picks and just tell us how you get on?
Yeah, last week was a bit of a disaster. I went for a draw in the Arsenal-Everton game. Obviously, that didn't go to plan. I didn't think there was much between the sides. There wasn't in the end, really. 1-0 to the Everton. My Chelsea away win at West Ham was correct. And of course, the mighty Liverpool let me down on my other one. So 1 out of 3, I'm afraid, for last week.
Is this the worst title defense ever, Paul?
They've been doing it all season.
Say again, sorry. I think statistically it is, or certainly was a couple of weeks ago. I don't think they've improved drastically in the last couple of weeks. So yeah. I think statistically it's the worst title defense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. Have you?
I don't actually think so, lads. I think you're lying through your arses. The season isn't over yet either. So
true.
Interesting point. Pat Nevin, who's played football and probably knows a lot more than us. He did up where he thinks everyone will finish at the end of the season. He had Liverpool on 68, Leicester on 67. He had 4 teams on 67 basically, and Liverpool on 68. Now, whether that happens is another thing. I'd be delighted if it does, but yeah. It's not over yet, lads.
Cool. Paul, you've done your predictions, have you? Yeah.
No, sorry. That was just the ones for last week.
Last week. No, last week. That's fine.
Oh yeah, sorry, last week's. Yeah.
You're done. Yeah. So, Enda, what were yours? Do you want to spin through yours?
Again, I went for the Arsenal-Everton draw. Like Paul, wasn't too far off. Liverpool went for Liverpool heavy as course, and they let us down. It should have been about 10-4. So like, if it was 10-4, I'd vote to score higher than 2.5 goals. But anyway, and my 3-draw Sunday. Who knew Chris Wood was going to score 4 goals?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. I think even Chris Wood in his wildest dreams couldn't have imagined that. Cool. My own predictions then were, I went with in the Premier League, I went for both to score in the United Leeds game. In hindsight, probably a bad pick. Well, was a bad pick, ended 0-0. United just don't seem to be at it in the league. They're probably distracted by Europa at this point. I then went for 2 draws, one in the championship, both in the championship, Derby, Birmingham. Birmingham won away 2-1, even though Derby are kind of fighting for their lives. So that didn't pan out. I also went for an outside draw between Barnsley and Rotherham. Barnsley scored after 2 minutes, and then after that it was 0-0. So if you take away the first 2 minutes, absolutely great tip there. And then I went for Aston Villa. When I saw the team news, I changed the prediction to over 2.5 goals. I had gone for a Villa win initially, but so on the app you can change your predictions right up to kickoff. So that one did come in 2-2. So hopefully find a few more this week. So we'll jump into this week's. Enda, I'll go to you first on your fancies this week.
Okay. I think Liverpool. Oh, Jesus, this is what deja vu. I think Liverpool will beat United. United don't want to win it. They won't try to win it. They're going to have their usual 2 sitting midfielders, and Fernandez is going to be jacked. He's jacked already, and he's been playing Thursday night. So I think, tentatively Liverpool will win that. Who else have I got? I have West Brom and Wolves to draw. I think that's a sure thing on Monday night. I think there'll be a lot of draws this weekend actually, but I think that'll definitely be a draw. And Chelsea will beat Fulham.
Cool. As an outside bet, you did put up 3 draws on Sunday last week.
Yeah,
and
I think there'll be a lot of draws this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Like you look at Burnley versus West Ham, that's going to be a draw. But you think which Burnley will show up, and will West Ham get their usual ball over the top goal? I don't know. Everton playing Villa, that has the potential to be a draw, and I think Brighton and Leeds will be a draw. But going on the most probability, I definitely think Wolves and West Brom has draw written all over it. Liverpool to beat, hopefully. That's a hopeful. Like United are going to be tired. The best bet, if I got a good bet on that, on how many yellow cards would be in it, right? Yeah. It'd be interesting, right? You have Thiago playing, you have Kabak. That's 2 definite Liverpool ones. You have Fred and one of the centre halves for United. So that's 4.
Luke
so
Shaw,
if you guys,
Luke Shaw will definitely get one.
Yeah. So if you got more than, like, they'll hardly throw you 3 yellow cards. But if you got more than 4, Jesus,
yeah,
I'd be having a cut off that, like.
Okay, cool. Paul, do you want to give us yours for the weekend?
I will do, yeah. I like the way Enda started off with his first prediction, Liverpool to beat United. Sounded very confident, and then by the end of the prediction, it was a tentative prediction.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a man that's all that confident. I'm going to go for West Brom to beat Wolves. Wolves are in absolute no man's land. A bit of a disaster of a season for them. West Brom still have a very small glimmer of hope. So I think Sam Allardyce might pick up the 3 points there. I'm going to go for Burnley to beat West Ham. Burnley have won 3 of the last 4 against West Ham. West Ham, as I predicted, are slumping. So I think a home win there. And Newcastle and Arsenal to draw. It's got draw written all over it. Arsenal after their Europa League on Thursday night. I just think that it might, in fact, it won't be an Arsenal win, put it that way. I'd go home or draw on that.
On the double chance.
Yeah.
Cool. For myself then, I should try and avoid the United games, being a United fan, but I like goals in that one. I basically think that they will be a bit leggy after Europa. They are focused on that now. Um, but they can get themselves up for this game, right? Liverpool United. I think Liverpool's strength is in attack. It hasn't been the same as last season, but your best players are attacking players for sure, and I'm pretty sure you'll score at least one. And I don't think a draw suits either side. So I think both just over 2.5 goals in that one would be one that I like. I'm looking at the fixtures here because I have an extraordinarily poor memory.
While you're doing that, I'll make a quick prediction on the United-Liverpool game. I'm going to go 8-0 United.
8-0 United.
Yeah, you forget, right? You forget United's record in big games. They don't want to win. They just want to draw. And even at the height of their powers,
we don't need to win.
Record against the top six was draw or not lose by much because they were the best flat track bullies around.
Where are we in the table again?
City have taken over that mantle.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see you've all come out from under your rock of supporting City for the last 2 years as well. Congratulations, well done.
So I'll go with Everton was the other one. They're still sort of in the mix for Europe, still in the mix for fourth, depending on how results pan out. And if Chelsea are distracted by Champions League, then that fourth spot is definitely still wide open. And what was the other one? I think both to score in the Leeds game as well. So both sides safe. Leeds seem to be finishing the season fairly strong. I think they'll score, but this Brighton team, they play a nice brand of football, and I feel like they'll get on the score sheet as well. So those will be my three. Right, we'll review those again next week. But now we're going to dive into this week's kind of discussion or topic, and it is VAR, the VAR debate. We've got a few questions outlined. I'll get the views of Paul and Enda on them, and I'll stick my oar in as well a few times. So the first question is VAR ruining the beautiful game? We'll go with Paul to start off.
In its current state, yes, I think it is. I mean, for me, the biggest disappointment about the whole thing is you genuinely can't celebrate a goal anymore, because you seem to find that they're trying to find something. I mean, even if there isn't something, this clear and obvious phrase gets bandied around a lot. It seems to me that they're looking for things. They're checking everything because they're all afraid not to make the mistake. It's a little bit ridiculous in its current format. I mean, far be it for me to ever agree with anything Arsene Wenger said. I mean, for a man who saw nothing when he was in football, now that he's kind of taken a step away from management, he sees everything in 2020. But I do like his suggestion, especially with the offside rule, where if any part of the attacking player's body is onside, then he is onside, which I think would probably clear most of the problem up with it. It seems to me that the offside one is the biggest controversy at the minute, and they're getting it so badly wrong. You and I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, Alan, about you're talking pixels on a television screen and the tip of a shirt sleeve. I think the Patrick Bamford one earlier in the season against Palace, where he was given offside for pointing where he wanted the ball. It's not quite right in its current format, but
yeah,
we all wanted it.
Yeah, Enda?
I agree. Yeah, right. Whoever is in charge of VAR or is doing VAR should, the first thing they should, the second thing after a pair of glasses, the first thing they should do is get to a dictionary and look up those two words: clear, obvious. Simple as. Like, Paul is exactly right. They're trying to find things. When the offside rule came in, they changed it years ago to when, like, it used to be if you were level, you were off. So they changed it. Why did they change it? To give the advantage to the attacker. To the attacker, right? So if you're follow that on. Why have they stopped doing that? Like if the back is someone's heel, you're going on about shirt sleeves. The back is someone's heel, someone's big toe. Give the advantage to the attacker. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
No reviews needed.
But when this
what else have I to say?
when this was being trialed and it was trialed for a while, like how did this not come up? Like how did they not define what is the line or where is the line? And like surely when they got to the stage where they're magnifying pixels on a screen, did someone in the room not kind of wake up and go, whoa? Like that's the baffling part.
But this is a little bit like our discussion last week about the Super League. Who are these people that are in these rooms? They're these mystery people. I think if I'm not mistaken, there was journalists involved in that. But it's not. Nothing is clear and obvious. The process of how it was created isn't even clear and obvious, really, is it? It seems to me that it's not people who have played the game, whoever makes the decisions on the game.
Yeah, it seems technology led, actually. It seems like two lads out of college, rocked up at FA headquarters and said, oh, look, we've got this new technology and it can do this and it can do that. And, a bit like the technology they have in the ball for like, is it a goal? Is it not a goal?
Yeah.
I think people turned up with this software solution and went, oh, look, we can do this. And everyone, all the lads in the room, like, oh, yeah. And it was taken forward. Like, and again, the theme here with everything is just lack of consultation with people who know the game, like players, managers, all of that.
The refs are wrong as well.
Just history repeating itself.
The refs are wrong as well. They're using it as a crutch. They're either not making decisions or making, like, erring on the side of, I'll give it because VAR will take it off, or I won't give it because VAR will take it.
Yeah.
Now, and a few of those, like, and it's totally inconsistent. There's a theory out there that it only goes for the big teams, which is great if you're a United fan, because it seems to always go for United. But the other thing as well is sometimes they'll come back with, well, it's not clear and obvious error, we'll have to stick with the on-field decision. And then other times they come back with a decision that's neither clear nor obvious.
Yeah.
So, Alan, to further expand on my point, right? If you look at the way it's done in rugby, first of all, it's on site. So whoever's making the decision is on site. He's a fourth referee. 1, 2, 3. I think he's actually a fifth referee because they have a spare referee and they have two sideline men and a referee. So there's a ref involved in making that decision. There's a ref involved in calling up the footage to support whatever decision. So, and he'll either support the referee on site, and the referee on site will get a view of what he's looking at. And if you listen to them, they'll go, show me that in real time. Look at that clown the last day, black hair, I can't think of the ref's name, but he did it to Liverpool as well. Walks over to the screen, looks at the really, really, really slow version of it, walks back, penalty. Who was the for? Was it the Chelsea game, was it? Yeah. Who got a penalty last week?
I can't recall, but
I can't remember
Everton,
now.
Everton.
The point, I totally get the point.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking. I can see the guys, the refs in my head. I don't even bother to learn their names. Like, they're all clowns.
It seems what they've tried to do is, like, one of the biggest problems with offside was lack of consistency, right? Some refs are on it, others aren't. Sometimes it's given, sometimes it's not. They've taken an inconsistent problem, which was annoying everybody, and they've replaced it with another inconsistent system. Because I was watching a French game there over the weekend, and someone from outside the box had a shot, and the defender stuck his elbow out, ball hit his elbow and then hit the crossbar and went out. It was reviewed by VAR. No, like, there was no decision given, no penalty, no nothing. And then in other games, like you say, the guys in the box, they're slowing things down frame by frame, and they stop it on that frame where a toe touches an ankle, and they're like, oh my God, it's penalty. Look, clear,
Yeah.
clear and obvious. But the game isn't pixels and the game isn't stills. The game it's a contact sport. And it's just it's barmy how we've gotten to this stage in my view. You know, it's shocking.
Am I right in saying, Alan, from you watching that French game, do you find on the continent it's not as finicky and it runs a bit better? I find from watching European games.
PSV Eindhoven had 3 goals disallowed on Sunday through VAR, so I don't know if it's all that's consistent on the continent.
Well, maybe
I didn't see the game. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they all should have been disallowed, but you know,
I just watching the Champions League games. It doesn't seem to be as obtrusive, and it doesn't seem to be as finicky.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just something personal that I feel, but
it's
even the VAR is inconsistent.
Yeah, it's an inconsistent system replacing an inconsistent system, and I think your point, Paul, around like the joy of football. You score a screamer, and the first thing players do now is they stand still, looking up at the screen, wondering can you celebrate or not. Like it's really killing the game in so many ways.
Somebody is going to have a world-class goal disallowed. If I'm not mistaken, but there was one that was questioned. Was it Bruno Fernandes? I think it might not have been, but somebody scored a cracker from outside the box, in off the bar, top corner, something like that, and they reviewed it. And luckily enough, they didn't disallow it. But you know, you would be sick. You know, if it was just a tap in, you could probably live with it. But yeah, it's a 40-yard screamer.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but in terms of predictions or having a bet, it seems like 90% of VAR calls go against you all the time because goals are being.
Oh, every call goes against me.
We'll move on to the next question, and I want to get through this one fairly quickly if we can. Is the genie out of the bottle?
They'll never. Sorry. Far away, Enda.
Sorry, go ahead on this one.
I in relation to what?
Like
the VAR, is it?
Yeah, can we go back?
We can. I mean, put it back to what it's originally. Oh no, it won't go back to nothing, right? But if they can fix it, well and good. Like if you put it back to what it was originally supposed to do, it was supposed to stop the Frank Lampard goal of the World Cup happening. They brought the goal line technology in to stop that. Grand. It was supposed to stop like obvious handballs, obvious fouls. But they have to go back and see, well, the players are having a role in this as well. Like you have, I'm not just picking on United, but they come to mind. You have the likes of Fernandes and Pogba going into the box, sticking legs out because they know, hey, Salah does it too. But on the other hand, listen to my point though. On the other hand though, Mane doesn't do it. Mane gets kicked in the box and he stays up.
Yeah.
That's cost Liverpool 7 points this season. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah. But you have the players then going in, flicking a leg out, getting a touch, going down as if they're a shot.
Yeah, but would you rather?
No, there's and when they came in first as well, they weren't. The whole thing was you weren't allowed to go call for VAR. Every time someone's hairline touches the ball now, it's VAR. Yeah, it was supposed to be a booking offence, but you're no more than diving. Like that's never going to be.
Would you rather 7 points or would you rather integrity?
Well, integrity is he got kicked, he should have gone down. Would you rather integrity, Alan?
Absolutely.
Than Bruno Fernandes being the top scorer ever of every penalty for Man United?
I'd rather go down and be relegated than get goals that weren't 100% just. And I think I speak for every United fan.
Yeah.
Right, Paul.
You really are the delusional lot, aren't you?
Paul, is the genie out of the bottle?
Well, like Enda said, they're never going to go back to what it was before. Although I was thinking about this today, actually, before we started doing the podcast. I remember watching football. I think the 1990 World Cup stands out for me. When we didn't have any technology, we didn't have, goalkeepers could pick up the ball. They had more than the 7 seconds. You could properly side into a tackle. There was nothing wrong with football back then. It was incredibly enjoyable. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's the problem is we all moaned about not having it. Now it's here. This is the typical human thing. We like to complain, but what was before was better than what it is now, 100%. But I don't think they'll get rid of it. They need to improve it though, quick.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. I agree that the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think there's any going back, because I think it's almost like a generational thing now. It's, people are accustomed to it, and I think it can work in the right way, but it needs serious changes. I'll move on. Next question. What is the single biggest issue with VAR? We've probably touched on it, but in your view, what is the single biggest issue or the thing that you would change? I'll go Paul. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry. For me, I mean, I don't see how a guy, decisions that are made in real time, you can understand how somebody can get one wrong. The Balbuena red card against Chelsea at the weekend is the perfect example of that. In real time, it didn't look like a foul. The VAR official, who is a referee, that's these guys, by the way, who are making these decisions, I looked into this, they are actual referees, yeah? They're Premier League officials. He looked at it, couldn't make a decision on his own, calls over the referee to have a look at it, and he decides to send them off. And they've overturned it because it was never a red card. He's kicking the ball. Yeah. What do you do? What do you do? Where do you put your foot other than you follow through with your kick? So the issue is the referees. And for me, the decision needs to be made by the referee on the field, right or wrong, yeah? And that is the only thing that VAR should be reviewing. If he's not seen that as a red card, it doesn't get reviewed. Only if you send the player off, give a penalty. That's the only time VAR should come in. If you don't send them off and don't give the penalty, VAR does not stop the game. The referee should be the only one stopping.
Fair shout. Enda?
Yeah, I kind of go along with that. I'd say bring it back to its basis, clear and obvious. It's like, and the whole handball situation as well, we didn't touch that at all. What's handball, what's not handball. Yeah, clear and obvious. Just bring it back to that, clear and obvious. Did someone go in, maybe the ref is looking somewhere else and someone goes in, breakneck tackle, right, that it doesn't need reviews. The guy comes on the thing, hey, yellow card tackle here. Your man has a look at it. Good luck.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Clear and obvious, and reduce the number of instances that a referee has to check something as well. Like, the game has to flow. One of the kind of ideas I like, or that could be looked at, is maybe that tennis model, like where the players get 3 calls or 4 calls or something like that. I don't know, is it 3 a set or something like that? But basically give that power to the manager, and the player can just give him a quick nod, that was a leg breaker, or no, leave it. And you've 3 calls or 4 calls in the game, use them wisely. If you use them up, tough. That could be another way, but that wouldn't help fix some of the problems, like the interpretation of referees, like you were saying, Paul and Enda, like where the ref is looking and he seems not to, he doesn't seem to know what to do, or without getting help, or he's relying on the service to do his job for him, more to the point. There was one thing I saw creeping in as well, which I really didn't like, and it was in the Son game. I've started calling it the Son game after the Son incident. But Spurs United, like obviously the Son decision, that was a beautiful goal, should never have been ruled out. Again, freeze frame, yeah, he touched him, foul, like ridiculous stuff. But there was another incident in the game with Pierre Højbjerg where he rode a challenge from Fernandes. Happens, it must happen 100 times a game. But Fernandes basically gave him a bit of a kick or whatever in the challenge. So he continued playing on, won the challenge and played off the ball, and then fell down like a sack of spuds on the field. And what he was trying to do there was to get VAR to retrospectively sort of look at the incident, and he was faking kind of injury, in my view, in order that VAR come in and have a look at it. So he was like trying to get Fernandes sent off. So like the players now are starting to look at how they can manipulate the system as well, and that's also dangerous.
Fernandes has never done that.
Look, I'm not going to stand here and defend.
We're not getting into this now, are we?
That's the problem. And Mo Salah as well. Here, I'm not a Mo Salah apologist at all, right?
Yeah.
But they're all at it.
Yeah. They're all. I'm just using that
this
incident.
This is the problem, though, isn't it? It's footballers cheating that has led to a lot of this. But what do they don't punish them? Yeah. They don't punish them for doing it. In my opinion, if I was a lawmaker in the game, I would anyone who's found to be cheating, who's found to have, or what's worse, it's one thing diving or trying to get a sneaky foul but pretending to be injured. Anyone who does that should be tasered there and then on the spot. That's what you should be using VAR for. Is he really injured? If he's not really injured, taser him. He won't do it the next time.
Is that the answer? I wonder. Just tasering.
I'm telling you, that is the answer to a lot of life's problems.
Yeah. Well,
these are my own views.
Doesn't always work, Paul. I did that in the football game one day. One lad jumped down and rolled around like he was shot. So I rose him 3 foot off the ground with a kick. I got sent off. I thought you were
going to say you tasered him. Anyway,
that's what I thought. No.
So that the final question on the debate was what changes would you make? So we've touched on one there. Start tasering people. Any other changes?
Retro, it's more a football management thing. But if VAR can be used to find out these minute little tips and taps, bring in something where it's reasonable force. If someone walks on someone's toe, that's an accident. It's not a heinous attack trying to break their foot. That's an accident. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? They've broken their toenail. That's the worst that's ever going to happen to them. But when they roll, like Paul said, when they're rolling around, they are, what's the word they use?
Feigning.
Just left my lips there now.
It's probably vulgar, is it?
No, it's not vulgar. Simulation. There you go. Simulation. They brought it in a couple of years ago. Oh, simulation, cut it out. And then you have the match of the day narrative where it's Johnny Ferner doing it all. They seem to ignore Harry Kane doing it every week. But if they bring it in, I could be wrong, but there was one lad ever done for it, and he was fine. If they bring it in and they can see, if it's not a penalty, it's a dive. Yeah. Yellow card. If he does it again, red card. If it's that bad, or there's more than one case in the whole game, retrospective bans. I call you back to Brighton and Spurs during the first part of the season. Spurs were a disgrace. They show, and then of course match of the day with their Johnny Ferner narrative. Oh, Son was terrible for diving. Harry Kane was going down as a puff of wind. And no yellow card, no nothing. Go down as if he shot, no free, up he gets. Well, if he gets up, then give me a yellow card and tell him next time you're gone. They won't be long staying on their feet then,
Yeah, that's to be expected. So, I think the problem does need to be broken down. I think there's a problem with offside. There's a problem, big problem with simulation. How do you, when players walk out onto the field, they need to know that if I simulate or fake or try to get another player booked or something, I'm the one who's going to suffer or get sent off. And the offside one, it is a bit of a humdinger in terms of a problem to solve, but definitely give an advantage to the attacker to make the game more exciting and more goals and stuff would surely be something that
that was always meant to be the premise of it, though, wasn't it? Even before VAR, it was that the attacker always had the advantage because they wanted to see more goals. Nobody wants to see 0-0s.
Yeah.
We all want to see 3-2s, 4-3s. And I think this Wenger's ideas, I think they hold some weight because I think Infantino is keen on having the 2022 World Cup as the biggest goal fest in World Cup history. I think you'll see there will definitely be changes brought in by FIFA and that IFAB.
The thing is, he knows the game, right? He's managed. He played for a little bit, even I think. So just get people who know the game in a room and vet these decisions. On that note, guys, that's pretty much it. We've gone through what we wanted to chat about this week. We'll be back next week again for some more predictions. We'll review the predictions that we made this week, and we'll be having another discussion on something topical in football. So tune in to find out what that's going to be. Cheers.
Adios.
Bye, Enda.
Peace.